There are a lot of things that happened at the Grammys the other night that I really want to discuss with you. From Taylor's outfit to Beyonce's win to whatever was going on with Ye and his wife, let's discuss some of the bigger things that caught my interest while I was watching the Grammys the other night. So let's start off by talking about Taylor and Taylor's outfit, right? Because I saw that outfit and I thought it was a pretty clear reference to one thing, and then I looked at what the other fans and what the media and stuff were saying, and I was surprised and appalled to see that red is now 100% a Travis thing. So many fans and the media did not even think about the fact that she had a song named Red that she wrote in September of 2011, that she had an album named Red that she released in 2012. This was before he was even drafted to the Chiefs, and it frustrates me that like no one even said, oh hey, like this might be about Taylor and her historic use of the color red, or it might be what I think it's about, a reference to the night that Beyonce gave her time to Taylor. This was back in 2009 when Ye had done the I'ma let you finish, but Beyonce had the best video of all time. Beyonce would go on to win an award later in that night. At that point, Taylor had changed into her second dress. It was red. When Beyonce was up at the podium accepting her award, she called Taylor up and gave Taylor her time so that she could give the acceptance speech that had gotten interrupted. Both of them were wearing red dresses. Like, this is a big formative moment in Taylor's career. Like, she talks about this moment all of the time because she did not realize that they were booing Ye, right? She believed that they were booing her. She believed that everyone agreed with what Ye was saying. And it wasn't until later that she realized that he was the one that was being booed. And because of that, even though it was a misunderstanding, it's a misunderstanding that caused a deep wound. It's an occasion that she has referenced time and time again in her music, so it's obviously something that has stuck out in her head. And another thing is she and Beyonce have seemingly been, if not friends, at least colleagues that respect each other. You will never hear Beyonce say a bad word about Taylor Swift. You will never hear Taylor Swift say a bad word about Beyonce. They seem to understand the respective struggles that they have each had to deal with in the industry, and I believe that red dress was Taylor's way of saying, like, A, I'm giving out the Country Music Award, and this is an award that I believe Beyonce should win because of the fact that she was snubbed by the CMAs. The CMAs did not respect her album at all, even though it was very good. I believe that Taylor was sending a message to Beyonce, to her fans, to her team, that the fans of Taylor that have been around for a while, that she was hoping that Beyonce, A, won the award that she was giving out, but B, won the Album of the Year award, an award that she has been snubbed on a number of times, even though she has had really, really good albums many times in the past. And especially because Taylor was one of the people giving out the awards, especially because Taylor is very high up in the industry. Like, Taylor doesn't want to say, I hope Beyonce wins, because there's going to be people that think, oh, well, Beyonce only won because Jay-Z and because Taylor said something, and most of them are going to attribute it to Taylor, obviously. And I think that this is a really good way of Taylor showing her support for Beyonce while at the same time, like, bringing back a theme that had been in her work for a long period of time. I believe we are very much existing in a proving a pointless world, which is basically Taylor is trying to get us to make certain observations about her life, about her career, about the things that the media says about her and her relationships. She wants fans to realize the things that don't necessarily jive. The media narrative doesn't necessarily jive with the facts that we get, with the lyrics that we get, with things of that nature. And then we have the rubies. Red herring is actually an anagram for her red ring. She has had red rings, ruby rings a lot in the past, and there is this theme of the rubies she gave up, the things that she needed to give up in order to have her career. And I believe the reason that she was dripping in rubies was to show, like, I have gotten my rubies back. The things that I had to give up, I am in the process of getting them back. And I do think there was a little subversive message being shown by the thigh chain as well, because a lot of people saw that and were repulsed because they're like, ew, period blood. And at first I'm like, okay, that's a really reductive way to see that. But then I thought about the fact that she's had like 2 outfits recently that she's had chains over this area, like, you know, the uterus zone of her abdomen. She has also had an outfit recently where she has had like a fence kind of around that area. And I joke that she is establishing a new fashion aesthetic, filleth not my womb core. And I think that this may be an extension of that, because in general, if you're menstruating, you don't have a baby in your womb. And I think one of the big themes, especially when Lady Gaga was being caught out for having a little bit of a pouch, and maybe, oh my god, maybe she looks pregnant, and Taylor went through this with the tangerine bodysuit as well. People are like, oh my god, she's pregnant. And Taylor doesn't speak out about most of the rumors, most of the things people say about her and other people, but she did speak out about the pregnancy rumors about other artists artist. But I think, especially since this fashion statement really seemed to start after November, after the election, I genuinely believe that this is supposed to send a signal. I believe it's supposed to be symbolic of closing off the uterus. If you're not going to give us control of our bodies, then we are going to fence off our bodies. We are going to chain off our bodies. You know, things of that nature. It sends a very big signal, and I'm actually kind of shocked that more people aren't picking up on that. And I know a lot of people have gone into like the symbolism of rubies and things of that nature, and I think rubies and getting the rubies back is symbolic of Taylor taking back her power. I think at that Grammys, this is a signal that she is really taking back her power. She has been trying to rewrite the past. She has been trying to right the wrongs that happened, the things that she was stopped from doing in the past because of the Reputation era, because of everything that went down with the Masters heist, because of COVID. All of these things that she had intended to do, this journey that she had intended to go on so that she could regain her assets, her music, the thing that she values above all else. I also love that the pictures that Taylor posted on her social media was Beyonce winning an award and her looking ecstatic in the background, and Kendrick winning an award and her holding up her wine glass. I love the way she supported the people that she obviously cared about winning the most. I love that she has really established such a strong bond, such a strong supportive bond of people like Kendrick, of people like Beyonce, and I really hope this means there's going to be additional collaborations in the future. Obviously, as a huge fan of Beyonce, I have very much felt like she had been snubbed by award shows as well. I'm really glad that she is finally getting respect, especially for the country music that she produced. I loved Cowboy Carter. It was one of those albums where every single song was so good that I had to listen to it like 37 times. It took me a week to get through the entire album. And I really love how much her outfit reminds me of a bandana. It has a lot of those like decorations and things like that. And I thought that was a great look. I love the little jewel that she had like right down here. It did look like the attachment for it was poking her in the boob at one point in time, which is unfortunate, but I loved her look. I really think it's interesting that while she's been doing this country journey, she's really held up this like imagery of long blonde hair. And generally in country music, there seems to be this preference for female artists that do have long blonde hair. I know why. This video is not about that, but it's like on the one hand, you look gorgeous. On the other hand, I hate that you have to do this. I hate that you can't show up as much as your authentic self. I do wonder if she would have went through this era with like her natural hair or braids or something along those lines, if she would have been accepted as much, because there's just so much of like image attached to expectations, attached to the amount of success you can have in a certain genre. I have to take a moment to discuss Blue Ivy's dress. She's adorable. She is so cute. And I'm really glad that she got to see her mother recognized in this way, finally, although it sucks that she has been snubbed so many times in the past. I especially love that it's this like kind of blurple color that Taylor has worn a lot. And I'm not necessarily saying that Blue Ivy like loves Taylor or is referencing Taylor. In fact, it's probably just like her name is Blue Ivy. This is like a bluish purple or a royal blue. It kind of depends on the lighting. I'm having a hard time telling exactly what color it is. If it's more blue or purple, it looks like maybe it's got a little bit of a color shift to it. She's gotten so tall, and I remember when Beyonce started her tour, like the first night we saw Blue dancing, she was a little stiff. She looked like she was nervous and things like that. And especially because she is younger, there were a lot of people that were concerned, like, is she going to be able to take the criticism? A lot of people were talking about her dancing in TikTok. For a lot of young people, that would be something that like causes them to shut down. But Blue really seemed to like kick it into high gear. She really seemed to take it very seriously. And I watched her go out every single night performing better and better and better until the very end. Like, if you didn't tell me who Blue Ivy was, I wouldn't have necessarily known her from the other dancers. She was doing such a good job. And I think this is only the beginning of what she's going to do with her life. And I think the interesting thing about Blue Ivy is that her parents are literally American royalty. And it's one of those situations where even if she decides to be like the most unremarkable person possible, that in and of itself is still going to be remarkable because, you know, she's the child of Beyonce and Jay-Z. But I'm definitely very excited to see like what she does as she starts to explore herself and her career more, because she definitely seems to have that same drive that her mother has, like to put in the work to succeed in things of that nature. I absolutely have to talk about Doechii's looks. So first of all, I am so on a Doechii kick right now. I realistically like any music that has good wordplay and a good beat, but also if you've got like good ekuleleas, good things that get stuck in my head, like mustard, A minor, and all of those things get really stuck in my head, and a lot of Doechii's songs have lines that get stuck in my head as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the ekuleleas that I have from Doechii's music are things that I can't say on this platform, but I'm sure those of you that know, you know, the parts about the F words and the hugs and things like that very much stick in my brain. And I love her. And I love how all of these Thom Yorke looks were very like mask meets feminine in really interesting ways. I love how she went for like the very schoolboy top with one of her looks, but she also had these structured pants that really reminded me of like a French Revolution era like hoop skirt type deal. I don't remember what those hoop skirts are called in particular, but it really reminded me of that. And especially with the red, white, and blue striping, I think there was a very like French Revolution-esque vibe going on, which I thought was very appropriate. Her performance was incredible. Like, she was up on stage and there were people that were holding her up in the air, and she was in a full split, and then she did like a forward flip, and then she landed, and then they removed her costume and she was wearing these very like athletic style, masculine style like undergarments, and again the like French flag, French Revolution type imagery. And as much as I love Billie Eilish, I really wish that she would experiment with like some of these type of styles, because I think this type of vibe would really look good on her as well. But Doechii, she does so good. I love the face tapes as well, the visible face tapes, and because it's like, here's the thing, so many of us realize that there are so many people out there that have the face tapes on and they're just hidden under the wig. And I love how much like Doechii like strips away the kind of artifice, the kind of fakeness on things, and shows the realness underneath. That just seems to me to be like one of the big themes of a lot of things in her work, especially the song Denial is a River, is like cutting through the denial and actually confronting the truth. And I have to talk about Chappell Roan's look as well. So first off, who was her dress by actually? Chappell wore an Archive Gautier gown. I have tried to say that like 47 times and can't say it right, so that's what we're going with. I loved this gown. I love the blue and yellow, great striking colors on her. And specifically, I love that she really doesn't get wrapped up in what colors look good at her and things of that nature. A lot of times when Chappell is getting dressed up, it is less about like looking conventionally good, looking good from a cis heteronormative male gaze type perspective, and it is more about looking good from like the female gaze perspective. Chappell's stylist, Genesis Webb, is somebody that I aspire to be more like in my life. Every single look that they have curated for Chappell has just been incredible, and just like pulling all of these things from all of these various sources. Chappell really likes pulling from a lot of these smaller designers, yes, but she's also been pulling from like bigger designers and archives, and just like mixing and mashing all of these stuff together. It really sends a great image. You always want to tune in and see what she's doing. You know she's going to do something completely different. It really reminds me of that early era when like Lady Gaga was coming up and we were just waiting, like, is she going to come in an egg this time? Is she going to wear a meat dress this time? Things like that. Gaga has really like kind of toned it down, calmed down as she has gotten more mature, as she has really also kind of gone into like the acting direction and things like that. She's not as likely to do, you know, show up in a meat gown or an egg. And Chappell is kind of like that for the next generation, and I love that. A couple people have pointed out that the designs on the dress that she was wearing were from Degas paintings. And Degas painted a lot of ballerinas, but specifically he was like painting them in like a very realistic light. As I understand it, when he was painting ballerinas, like ballet was kind of seen as, it wasn't seen as like a posh thing the way it is seen now. A lot of the dancers were younger and disenfranchised. A lot of their lives literally depended on the powerful patrons that gave them the money that they needed to survive and things like that. But also, like, when powerful patrons are giving you money to survive, they tend to expect a little something extra. There are so many artists that get stuck in this situation where they can't release their album, or they can't release their songs because their label isn't happy with the way they're doing things, with the way they're acting, things of that nature. Labels have always had a very outsized amount of control on people's lives. Like, look at Taylor. She didn't want to leave Big Machine Records, but Big Machine basically told her the only way that they would give her the rights to her work is she needed to earn them back one album at a time. She needed to deliver one new album for each, we'll give you this back. And that wasn't something that she was willing to do because she had already worked for those albums and she didn't think that she should have to be put through that in the future. Like, this very much seems like a, we sold this to your enemy to control you. And I don't think we look at that enough from that light. And I really hope the things that Chappell has said has really started to open a lot more eyes to just how powerful and controlling the industry is, and just how much it can hold various artists back. Even artists that are insanely talented. It is not enough to just be talented. You have to play the political game of dealing with your agents and your manager and the label and things like that. And you also have to play the PR game of getting people interested in you and keeping people interested in you so that they keep consuming your media. A lot of times there's this artificial barrier of, you need to with this guy or that guy or whoever, or your career isn't going to progress any further. Obviously, my favorite thing about these Grammys has just been watching so many marginalized people win, so many people who genuinely deserve awards but are typically overlooked. There are so many BIPOC performers who are just out there killing it every single day of the week and who don't get nearly the credit that they deserve. Like, sure, Beyonce's gotten other Grammys, but the Album of the Year Grammy is like kind of a bigger deal. And also just the way Beyonce curates an album so it really feels like this cohesive thing. Very few people can match her caliber with stuff like that. With Lemonade, with Renaissance, with Cowboy Carter, there has just been so much, like, it has felt like this consistent, cohesive piece of work, and it's so good to finally see her get the recognition she deserves. And I hope that we don't see a snapback next year where, like, it's just white dudes who win everything, but you know what, we'll see. So let's talk about Ye and Bianca Censori. So here's the deal. Yes, there are absolutely videos where she seems to be enthusiastically embracing him, supporting him, what have you. That said, I have been in a lot of controlling relationships, a lot of my friends have been in a lot of controlling relationships, and I know bad when I see bad. I know that a lot of the time it seems like he is forcing her, putting pressure on her. We don't know exactly what he was saying to her on the red carpet. It definitely seems like one of those situations where Ye realizes that he's not going to get any attention just showing up places in his random black athletic wear that he's been wearing for months, years now at this point. On his own, Ye is not that interesting at this point, especially because he has said so many harmful and hateful things, and he has not done anything to recover from that fact. He has not apologized to anybody. He has not done work to become a better person, things of that nature. And the way that he consistently uses women's bodies and the fashion that they're wearing and things like that to bring attention to himself is very concerning to me. This is a man that has a church. This is a man who has or had a school. I don't know if it's closed yet at this point in time. There's a lot of culty red flags here. There's a lot of coercion and control kind of like imagery going on here. And something that I don't think many people notice is that, you know, she took off this coat and she let it drop, and she did not have anything on except for that completely see-through, like, it was a pantyhose material dress. You could see her full body on display. Somebody picked up that coat and took it away, and I've seen people online speculate that that is an employee of Ye. I am very concerned this woman is going to end up on the offender registry one day, because you can't just be completely everything out nude on the red carpet. And the fact that he is consistently, ever since he was with Kim, like, he was putting her in all of these outfits that really showed off her figure, and yet at the same time he's also this very, like, there's a lot of Christian ideology that controls how he thinks and how he sees the world. And I think that's one of the issues that got him in problems with Kim, right? Because this is something that I've seen within, like, men within Catholicism or Mormonism or other, like, really restrictive relationships. Like, you are told that there are good girls and they're holy and they don't do naughty things and all of that jazz, and there are bad girls and they do the naughty things. And this puts these men in a position where they're, you know, attracted to this woman and they want to do naughty things to her, but then she gets pregnant and they have to, like, switch over to seeing her as a mother. And a lot of times that switchover seems to be hard. And that really seems to be what happened with him and Kim. Like, he really seems to be attracted to her for her body and what her body could do for him in his career. But then when he started, like, having children with her, it was like he really wanted to control her, really wanted her to, like, be a good girl and, like, don't be sexy. And it's like, you are the one who married a woman who got famous off of sex tape. Like, you should obviously have some understanding. And it's frustrating because, like, yes, he makes it out like, oh, if Kim and Chris have my kids, they're going to put them through the same thing that Kim went through. They're going to have their own tapes and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, he will parade around these women. It's like, your children are going to see this. Like, at least 2 of his kids are old enough that they probably have regular access to, like, the internet and headlines and things of that nature. Especially when you do something like that big, that obvious, it becomes very difficult to hide it from your children. Like, what message are you sending to your daughters? What message are you sending to your sons? Because here's the thing, like, I think a lot of people have this belief, like, this boy saw his mother go through these things and he saw how bad it hurt her, so he's probably not going to go and do it in the future. But from my experience from dating a lot of guys who had seen mothers go through terrible things, like, a lot of times they saw their mothers get stronger because of those things, so they don't think they're that bad. Like, they think, oh yeah, that sucks, but, you know, you're going to get stronger from going through it, so it's not really that big of a deal. We don't need to avoid doing the same things that happened to my mother. But that is all I have to say about the Grammys. Grammys. I have a video coming out soon about Taylor Swift and performance art, so if you were really interested in that section of the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I have that coming very soon. I am still a very small channel, so all of your interactions really help me out a lot. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.